Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean, and I'm going to talk about the situation currently going on with Tyson Fury. I don't really want to talk too much about the kind of allegations of PED use, for the simple fact that we don't have any details on it, don't really know anything about it, so I'd rather not speculate about something that we don't know anything about, or at least I don't know anything about. I've heard some allegations made by a tabloid newspaper in the UK. I don't read tabloid newspapers. I'm not interested, generally speaking, in anything they have to say. UCAD, UK Anti-Doping, have said that they don't release statements on cases until the due process has been carried out. Fair enough. The Furies as well have said that they denied it, but they can't get into any details about the case because, for legal reasons, it's still going on. So yeah, fair enough. My impression, my suspicion is that it's untrue. I don't believe that Tyson Fury is taking PEDs, but I don't have any details. I don't have any inside information. But I believe innocent until proven guilty, and I'm going to need to see some evidence and some serious proof before I believe it. So I'd like to hear full accounts from both sides before I really talk any more about this. What I do want to talk about is the current mental state of Tyson Fury, with the depression, his relationship with the British public, what I think he should do now, what I think should happen regarding the belts, etc. And just talk about that a little bit. Okay, well, Tyson Fury has always had a bit of a unhappy relationship with the British public. He's never been particularly popular. I remember, I suppose you could say the first big fight he had was Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora, again, I mean, he's not particularly popular either, but not to the same extent as Tyson Fury. I remember when he was going to fight David Haye, everybody wanted David Haye to win. Pretty much everyone in England wanted a knockout like Tyson Fury. And a lot of it got a bit unpleasant, let's be honest, like some of the comments that were being made. And this is generally how it's been. And that fight was going to take place in Manchester as well, where Tyson Fury is from. So, yeah, he's generally felt unloved, should we say, by the British public. Partly his fault, to be fair. But yeah, and then fast forward a few years, and he goes and wins the heavyweight title against Vladimir Klitschko in Germany. I predicted that he would win. I've always been a massive fan of Tyson Fury. I've always rated him very highly, but a lot of other people haven't, and people generally thought that Vladimir Klitschko was going to be too much for him. They didn't really give Tyson Fury a chance, but he went out there, he did it, and he didn't just sort of knock him out like in one round, like with a, I wouldn't say a lucky punch, because it's basically a punching match. So if you knock someone out with a punch, but you know what I mean? He won over a 12-round, basically shutout in Germany against Vladimir Klitschko. So he did that. Then he comes back, and there's very, very little attention, very little spotlight on that. And instead, there was a massive spotlight on some comments that he made in an interview. Now, I don't agree with everything that Tyson Fury says. I don't agree with everything that anyone says, but to me, there did seem to be a disproportionate amount of coverage on these, what I would consider just kind of pretty silly comments that he made, that he then went on to clarify that he wasn't really trying to be hateful to anyone. He didn't have any bad feeling towards anyone. It was just a comment that he made, which was, it was a bit silly, but it didn't deserve the kind of vilification that it received, in my opinion. And his sporting achievement, which was massive. I mean, a massive sporting achievement. To go there and beat Vladimir Klitschko, was the best on the planet for years. And he went out there and he beat him in Germany, and pretty much nobody really gave him any credit for it. And then if you look at how people reacted to Anthony Joshua beating Charles Martin. Now, no, this is nothing against Anthony Joshua. I mean, he was given an opportunity and he took it. So, fair play to him. But the point is, the kind of adulation and the kind of respect that he got for beating Charles Martin in London, in comparison to Tyson Fury beating Vladimir Klitschko in Germany, was pretty mental, to be honest. So yeah, that's got a lot to do with like promoting. We can get into that. That's definitely a factor. You've got to give a lot of credit to Eddie Hearn and the kind of machine that he has behind him. Obviously, Anthony Joshua as well was an Olympic gold medalist in London, so he was already a kind of mainstream favourite with the British public. But still, we're talking sporting achievements. You can see how Tyson Fury kind of got his nose out of joint a little bit with how he was received by the British public and how he wasn't really being given the respect that he deserved. And also people tried to say that, like Vladimir Klitschko really lost the fight rather than he won. He was too old. Well, he wasn't too old like the night before or the morning of the fight. People were saying that like he's going to easily beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is going to get knocked out. He wins, and now suddenly, he was like sort of too old, or he's he didn't throw enough punches. Well, why didn't he throw enough punches? He didn't throw enough punches because he wasn't able to, because of how Tyson Fury fought. So Tyson Fury, I can see at this point he's kind of thinking, do you know what? Like, what's the point of all this? That's what Peter Fury said as well. It makes sense. He's like, I'll go and do this massive achievement, and people just downplay it. They ignore it. They don't give me any credit for it. They try and say, the opponent like kind of lost the fight. He's just thinking like, why do I bother? What's the point of all this? And the way Fury is, he doesn't strike me as the most sort of dedicated man in terms of like the training and living the life. You see him like putting on weight, going out drinking. So it must be, obviously he likes the fighting, but for him to really dedicate himself to something that he feels like he's not going to be given any credit for, I can see how he starts to kind of lose interest in it. I remember seeing a video, I don't remember who it was by, but it was after Pacquiao Mayweather. And he said that Mayweather was kind of in the ring after the fight. People have been calling for him to fight Pacquiao for a long time, and he did, and he won. It was a pretty uneventful fight, but he did win the fight quite convincingly, in my opinion. And by convincingly, I mean like he won most of the rounds. And then after the fight, the crowd are just kind of booing. And he just thinks like, gets up on goes, give me the belt, gets up on on the corner, I don't know what you call it to be honest, but gets up on the corner, puts the belt round him, and just like, do you know what? Fuck off. What do you want me to do? I've basically, everybody, you've been saying for me to do this, I do it, and now you're just booing me, so whatever, I'm going to go and fight Andre Berto. If you don't like it, then fuck off. I think that's basically what, as I say, I don't know who made that video, but whoever did it, I liked it. If you're watching this, Tyson Fury, I think feels the same way after that. I think this isn't just a one-off thing either. I think it's like a long-term relationship that he's had with the British public in terms of how he's been received. Now, I want to make a distinction here because there are, I personally, hardcore boxing fan. I watch pretty much every interview that Tyson Fury does, and my image of him is that he's a very good man. Generally speaking, he's not perfect, but I think he's got a good heart, and I do think that his mainstream image is very different to the reality of his actual character. I personally have a lot of time for him, but I can understand how people who just see bits and pieces of him don't really feel the same way. Good example, good mate of mine, he likes boxing, but he's not like me, he doesn't see that, like all the interviews and this kind of stuff. We were talking about it, and Fury came up, and he's like, yeah, Fury's a bit of a wanker though, isn't he? and I was saying, no, Fury's, I was kind of explaining why I think Fury's a good bloke and this, that, and the other. But he just sort of seen bits and pieces of him, so that was the image that he got. Okay, now I'm not saying that everybody has to like Fury. This is just my opinion. He rubs some people up the wrong way, and that's perfectly legitimate. But what I do want to say is that a lot of the abuse that he gets is it's abuse, and it's not on. I've seen people, going, you fucking pikey, you jippo, you fuck off to your caravan, this, that, and the other. That, I mean, what's that all about? Do you know what I mean? That is just abuse, and it's racist abuse. So I've, for example, criticised here, like Amir Khan. I've said that he's like recently become a bit deluded. He kind of like annoys me a little bit. Some of the things he says, he's like been avoiding like tough competition, but at the same time mouthing off about what he's going to do, and he's kind of got up my nose a little bit. But that doesn't mean that I go on there and start saying, "Oh, Amir Khan, you fucking packy, you Muslim cunt, you terrorist," which is what some people do. I've seen it. I've seen on Amir Khan videos where people have been like coming out with just ridiculous abuse like that, based on him basically acting like a bit of a prick. Do you know what I mean? If you've got like a criticism of someone, that's one thing, but don't start coming out with stuff. I've seen like Mayweather, people call him Mayweather, you fucking nigger, you this. So, what's going on with people? What are you doing? If you've got like if you don't like Tyson Fury, you don't like Mayweather, you don't like Amir Khan, things that they say, you maybe are not a fan of how they fight, you might think that they're being a bit disrespectful, that's fine. But don't start going on there calling them packies, jippos, niggers, this kind of stuff. And that is what Tyson Fury has been dealing with for years. I've seen it. I've seen loads of stuff. Yeah, he's come out with some stuff himself. Like he's quite sensitive and he reacts to things. But some of the abuse, I've seen it like for years. People calling him all this stuff. You pikey, you get fucking knocked out and sent back to your caravan. You jippo. No, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, people doing this kind of stuff, calling these people this kind of, you should be ashamed of yourself. You really should. And if you're not ashamed of yourself, then you are a piece of shit. Simple as that. No two ways about it. So I don't care about people like that. I'm not interested in what they have to say because they are a piece of shit. That doesn't mean that people are not allowed to criticise Tyson Fury because, a lot of this stuff he brings on himself, not that stuff, because that's just completely unacceptable. Like, we can all agree on that. But some of the other stuff he does, he kind of brings stuff on himself. He's quite disrespectful himself. He'll like have a go at other people. He makes some pretty stupid comments sometimes. So, I don't blame people for criticising him. But let's keep it within a parameter. Let's not start calling him racist, giving him racist abuse or personal attacks, stuff like that. Because this obviously over time has affected him, and it's definitely playing a part in the situation that he's in now. So, just fucking grow up. Basically, that's what you're doing. In terms of how he's brought some of this stuff on himself. Well, for example, the David Haye situation. When David Haye pulled out a fight with him, he was very, very vocal about it. He was calling him a bitch. He was just completely unforgiving. And then now he's in a situation where he's pulled out of a fight himself. He pulled out of a fight with someone else as well, I can't remember, because of something to do with his uncle. So, when you do stuff like that, you do bring on some kind of, it's like karma, So me personally, I'm generally very nice to people. I don't treat people badly. So, and when people do make mistakes or don't do things I think they should be doing, depending on what it is, but generally speaking, I'm not that hard on them. I try to kind of be understanding if people make a mistake. Because, well, I sort of do it naturally, but that way, when people do make mistakes, then people are a lot more likely to be more forgiving of you. If you if you are that hard on someone else for doing something, and then the same thing happens to you, then how do you expect people to react? So I think that Tyson Fury, I think his kind of attitude towards other people in terms of how he speaks to them, at least publicly, doesn't mean that. Well, means that some people won't be that sympathetic to him in his plight, and I can sort of understand that. But I do think that he's in a very bad place right now, and I think people should give him some respect and give him, a bit of compassion, regardless of what you think about, what he said or you don't really like him. I think you really need to understand that he's in a bad place right now. He doesn't need people abusing him and calling him this and calling him that. So it's just boxing at the end of the day. It's not that big a deal. If someone's really got mental problems and they're really suffering, then they need to be left alone. If you're not going to leave them alone, if you are going to speak to them, be nice. That's basically that. In terms of the belts, well, I think this has been like a year now when he hasn't defended the titles. So, as much as I sort of sympathise with Tyson Fury in the situation that he's in, I do think that it's a bit unfair on the other heavyweights out there, people who want to be fighting for these titles. It's kind of slowed the division right down. You've got people out there putting in work like Joshua, Joseph Parker, Deontay Wilder. I know he's out for a bit, but he should be back soon. Luis Ortiz, Pulev, Povetkin. I mean, there are lots of people out there who, would like to have a shot at the crown. So, unless Tyson Fury is able to fight very, very soon, which obviously he isn't, I think, probably the best thing to do is for them to give up the titles, let other people fight for them, and he should be given the first shot at them. When he's back. Most important thing is obviously his mental health. He can't be fighting people like Vladimir Klitschko, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, people of this caliber, when his head isn't right. He needs to be firing on all cylinders. So I think that he should give up the belts, get himself together, and if he wants to come back within a period of time, he should be given a shot at those belts. That's what I think should happen. I think that's a fair way to deal with it. And if he doesn't come back, then he doesn't come back. It's more important. Obviously, he doesn't owe anyone anything. I mean, while he has the belts, he owes people to defend those titles. But if he gives them up, he doesn't owe anybody anything. If he's not focused on boxing, if he's for whatever reason doesn't want to do it anymore, then I say good luck to him. Good luck in whatever he wants to do. Me personally, I've always been a big fan of Tyson Fury. I think he's the best fighter we have in the UK. So from a selfish point of view, I'd be very disappointed if he didn't come back, because I think that he's the best heavyweight. I think anyone can beat you in the heavyweights, especially. Everyone has a puncher's chance. But I think that Tyson Fury is, by some distance, the best out there. So, I'm disappointed if that's the case. I really would like to see him really cement his legacy. But if he decides not to do that, then, no hard feelings from me. I respect what he's done so far, and I wish him all the best for the future. So I'd be interested to hear what other people have to say about this. But I don't want to hear any kind of nastiness. I don't want to hear any abusive stuff. If you have something intelligent to say, if you've got something if you have a sort of criticism of Tyson Fury, fine. But if it's just going to be abusive and racist or anything like that, then I'm not interested in hearing it. Just keep it to yourself. But so we'll have to see what happens, and hopefully Tyson Fury can, first of all, get his head right and get himself back on track in real life. That's the important thing. And if he can come back to boxing as well and pick off where he left off, then that would be a bonus. So sorry it's been a bit long, but I had quite a few things to say on it. So thank you very much for watching.